This audio program by Radio AI is generated using artificial intelligence technologies. The voices you hear in this program are synthetic, and the thoughts they express are shaped through artificial intelligence-driven reasoning and iterative refinement.
Welcome to Radio AI, where we take a deep dive into topics that shape our world. Today, we're exploring a challenge that touches, well, pretty much every corner of the globe. Water scarcity. It's way more complex than just, a physical shortage.
Oh, absolutely. It's really a vast web. You've got ecological factors, societal ones, technology, all interacting. And they're shaped by things like climate shifts, population growth, economic activity, even the rules we set up for who gets water. Understanding all those layers, that's really the key if we want to find solutions that actually work.
Okay, let's unpack that. So traditionally, when we think about fixing water scarcity, the first things that come to mind are often supply side things, right? Like building new reservoirs, maybe desalination plants. What's the appeal there? And what are the complexities maybe we don't always see?
Well, the appeal is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
More water. Simple as that, in theory.
Yeah.
But what's really fascinating and a bit risky is this idea of lock-in. Yeah, where we become so dependent on this huge energy-hungry infrastructure, like those desalination plants you mentioned, that it actually makes us less flexible later on. We get sort of stuck in one often very expensive way of doing things.
Yeah.
And this ties right into the energy-water nexus.
Yeah.
These big projects use a ton of energy,
Right.
which means higher costs, sure, but also potentially more greenhouse gas emissions. And sometimes, ironically, they can even damage the natural water cycles they're supposed to help.
That's a huge point, that lock-in idea. So if just adding supply has these big challenges, what about the other side, managing demand? This is where it gets really interesting, I think.
Exactly. Demand-side approaches, things like changing how we price water or using quota systems. The goal is basically to get our consumption to line up better with the resources we actually have. Think about agriculture, for instance. There's this concept, more crop per drop. Huge potential there for efficiency gains.
More crop per drop. I like that.
It's about getting more food with less water. Sounds great, right?
Yeah.
But it immediately brings up a really important question. How do we make sure it's fair? Equity.
Okay.
Because if you price water closer to its, let's say, true cost to encourage conservation, well, you have to be really careful. Without the right design, you could accidentally make things harder for vulnerable groups. People who can't afford higher prices.
Yeah, you need safeguards.
Precisely. That's where things like distributive justice, making sure the outcomes are fair, and procedural justice, ensuring the decision-making process is fair, especially thinking about who has power and who gets heard, become absolutely essential.
Okay, so we have these supply side issues, demand side potential, but with equity concerns. How do we pull it all together? You mentioned something called integrated water resource management.
Right, IWRM. It's basically an attempt to weave all these threads together, the hydrology, the economics, social factors, ecological impacts, everything. It really pushes for involving all the stakeholders and using adaptive management, which we can talk more about.
Sure.
But, it's not easy. You often run into fragmented governance of different agencies not talking to each other or powerful competing interests. And some critics worry that leaning too heavily on market tools, like trading water rights, could actually make inequality worse. It might undermine the idea of water as, a basic social good, not just another commodity to buy and sell.
It sounds like there's no single magic bullet then, more like a continuous learning process, like we're figuring it out as we go.
That's a great way to put it. Uncertainty is just baked into water management. So adaptive management frameworks basically treat our actions, our policies, our interventions almost like experiments. We monitor the results really closely, and we have to be ready to change course as we learn more.
So constantly adjusting.
Exactly. This often means using real-time data, maybe remote sensing from satellites, even AI modeling now, which can help guide decisions even when things are still uncertain. And this is really important. We shouldn't forget local and indigenous knowledge systems. They often hold incredibly valuable, context-specific insights that can complement the scientific models beautifully.
So ultimately, what seems to be underlined here is that tackling water scarcity isn't just a technical problem to be solved with engineering. It's really a deep reflection of our society's values, our choices about governance. The goal isn't some final fix, maybe, but building our capacity for ongoing learning and adjustment.
That really frames the core question, doesn't it? How well equipped are we, really, as societies, to engage in that continuous process, to keep learning, keep adapting? In a way, water scarcity acts almost like a diagnostic tool for our overall societal resilience.
That's a powerful thought to end on. Thank you for joining us on Radio AI for this deep dive today. We really hope this exploration sparks some new thoughts and reflections for you, our listeners. Please do feel free to share your perspectives in the comments below. Hope to have you with us again on Radio AI. Until next time.